Welcome back to Sip the Tally Films. I'm your host, Coach Jed, and today we're going to talk about our mid-season awards from the NFL season of 2022. I'm going to start off with our team, the Ravens, and I'm going to start with the defensive rookie of the year, Kyle Hamilton. The reason I picked Kyle Hamilton mainly is because he's probably played the most out of the rookies, but he's also shown the most improvement. There are no crazy stats to throw out there for you. He had what should have been his first interception versus the Saints this last game on Monday Night Football, but it was called back by a phantom holding penalty or pass interference, whichever one they called. But if you look at his progression from week 2 when the Dolphins torched him up until now, the Ravens have figured out like a pattern of kind of where to use him and how to use him, and they're putting him in better situations to make plays. So for that fact only, he's our defensive player of the year. Pepe's played some. Jalen Norman Davis disappeared. Again, Travis Jones would be the only other guy I would consider for this award so far. Moving on to offensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year for the Ravens. And to me, it's hands down Tyler Linderbaum. Linderbaum's played in every game, has been a starter pretty much since he's been drafted. Look at his tape when he runs outside zone and inside zone. What I really want you to go find, whether it be from my video or from anybody else's, is what he did to Devin White the Thursday night game versus Tampa. Getting to the second level and driving that man 12, 13, 14 yards down the field. It was a beautiful sight to see if you love O-line play. And so Tyler Linderbaum is our offensive rookie of the year so far. All right, let's move on to defensive player of the year. And now it gets a little bit harder for the Ravens. And most of you probably think I was going to pick Pat Queen because I'm a Pat Queen stan. No, I didn't pick Pat Queen for obvious reasons. Justin Houston. He's only played 5 games, 8.5 sacks, which I think is tied, well, before this week was tied for second in the NFL. I don't know where he stands right now. I have to look it up. But just think about his past 3 weeks, past 3 games. 2 sacks, 2.5 sacks, and an interception. For him to be doing that at his age and in a limited number of snaps, nuts. Absolutely nuts. So if he played, I would say if he played more snaps, he would have more stats, but I don't think so because he's an older guy, and the fact that he has a limited number of snaps and he's making the most happen in those limited number of snaps, amazing for Justin Houston. So Justin Houston is our defensive player of the year so far in 2022, from my point of view, not official. Officially Sip the Tally, but not official ratings. Offensive player of the year, and I struggled with this one because a lot of guys have not produced a lot for us offensively, so I really just picked the most consistent guy, Mark Andrews. He has 42 catches, 480 some odd yards, 3 touchdowns. And if you wonder why I'm looking over my stats and stuff on the board in the back, my notes, so to speak. But Mark has been our most consistent player other than 8. And that's why he's our offensive player of the year so far. As, you know, he's made some great catches, hadn't played great every game, had some drops. But again, he's still been the most consistent guy so far for the 2022 season offensively. But and I'll tell you who I had up there for second though. The second person, who probably could have been the first person, would have been Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley looks like he's on his way back to being what he was before the injury. And so, you know, even though I got Mark because he has statistical numbers, Ronnie Stanley could easily be our offensive player of the year too. And I don't know what that says about our offense, but okay. And our MVP is obvious, Lamar Jackson, 1,796 passing yards, 16 TDs, 635 rushing yards, 2 TDs, 9 games. Without 8, we're nothing. It's that simple. If Lamar's not on the team, we're probably 0-9 probably. No direction for the franchise. We have to do whatever it takes. Not we, because we don't control the money. They have to do whatever it takes to keep Lamar on the team. So now let's move on to the NFL side of it. And this was a lot harder than I expected. So again, let's start with the defensive rookie of the year. There's a lot of guys out there. And when this guy was drafted, I didn't think he was the best at his position. But boy, he's proven me wrong. Now granted, he has a better surrounding cast than the other guy. that I picked ahead of him as far as coming out, Sauce Gardner has done an amazing job this year. He has 13 passes defended, 2 interceptions. He gets better every week. If you look at him versus us, then you turn around and look at him in his last 2 or 3 games. I'm not gonna say it's night and day because he has some good plays against us too, but he's learning the game at a really accelerated rate. And again, he has a better cast around him than Stingley, but what he's doing is phenomenal. If you don't believe me, go look at Brent Coleman's film. I think Brent named it him, like you know how the athletes nowadays say I'm him. So go look at that film. It's an amazing breakdown of Sauce Gardner's abilities and confidence and what he's doing to the rest of the NFL right now. Tyreek Woolen, close second. If you look at the video I did on my More Sip the Tally channel, Tyreek Woolen is a close second behind Sauce Gardner, 2 good corners. Let's move on to offensive rookie of the year. Now, I was torn between another Seattle Seahawk, Kenneth Walker, and this guy. Both of them the same position. But if you've been on this channel, you heard me talk about Dameon Pierce and the stories from when he dribbled a DB from a former team I coached twice, dribbled his head twice. And I'll quickly sum that story up. We played them and he had about 30 or so yards in the first half. The second half, he finished with about 280. Maybe had 7 carries, about 250 yards that second half. First 2 plays were the same play. He caught the corner. Everybody else was blocked up and it was one-on-one with him in the corner. He basically dribbled his head, crossed him over with his cranium and went off. But again, Dameon Pierce has 772 yards, 3 TDs, and he's played 9 games so far. He's doing a tremendous job on a bad team like Derek Stingley. But with Stingley and Pierce, they got a guy on both sides that they can start to build with. Now, defensive player of the year in NFL. And I'm gonna do this one little move, and you guys, especially you Raven guys, will know who exactly it is. And with that being said, it's Matt Judon. Matt Judon has 11.5 sacks, 10 TFLs, 19 QB hits, and has played 9 games. It's really bittersweet to see the success he's having on another team, him and Za'Darius, but he's playing lights out right now. Michael Parsons started off the year as probably the front runner to win defensive MVP, and maybe even, defensive player of the year, and maybe even MVP, but he's cooled off some. And so right now, Matt Judon leads the NFL in sacks, and what he does, even in the run game, it really makes me sick that he's on another team, honestly. But again, Matt Judon is my defensive player of the year in the NFL so far, after week 10. Offensive player of the year, which was the hardest one for me to pick when I was doing this over the course of this weekend and yesterday. There are a lot of guys out there having great seasons offensively. And this pick may have some bias based off of the results of this past week in the NFL, but I chose Justin Jefferson. What he's doing with Kirk Cousins as a QB is amazing. So he instantly passed Adam Thielen as the best offensive weapon on their team his rookie season. Started off this year with a bang. Kind of went missing games 2 and 3, but maybe that was the offensive staff and him trying to figure out how to use him. And if you don't know, the play caller for the Vikings, or maybe even the head coach for the Vikings, comes from that Rams tree. And their goal was to use Justin Jefferson like Cooper Kupp, which is a phenomenal idea because Justin Jefferson is more athletic than Cooper Kupp, more explosive than Cooper Kupp, probably has a bigger catch radius than Cooper Kupp. Only thing that he may not be as good as Cooper Kupp is mentally, and I say may because I don't know how smart I'm not privy to that information. But on the field, give me Justin Jefferson over Cooper Kupp right now. And that's probably gonna get some slander. That's fine, I'll take it. I take Pat Queen slander all the time, so I'm good with them. I got tough skin. But Justin Jefferson is my offensive player of the year so far in NFL. And finally, for NFL MVP at the week 10 mark, that guy. Check these numbers out. And they haven't had a bye week yet, so he's played 10 games. And Justin Jefferson may catch up to him in yards after that. I don't know if I gave you Justin Jefferson yards. He's 69 catches, 1,060 yards, 4 TDs in 9 games. That's Jefferson stats. These are Tyreek stats. 81 catches, so that's 12 more catches. Again, he's played a whole nother game than Justin Jefferson. 1,149 yards, 4 TDs. Let's see, so they've played 10 games, they got 8 left. This kid's on track for 2,000 yards receiving. 2,000. That's Madden-like. And for Tua to not be like a deep ball thrower, so a lot of these yards are yak or rack, whichever term you choose to say. And what Tyreek does with his opportunities is crazy. Because not only does he run great routes, once he gets the ball in his hand, he's even more dangerous. Because you can be right here and still not touch it. But it's crazy what Tyreek is doing. And so run back down through the list again of the NFL. For my defensive rookie of the year, I have Sauce Gardner. Offensive rookie of the year, I have Damian Pierce. Defensive player of the year, I have Matt Judon. Offensive player of the year, Justin Jefferson. NFL MVP at the week 10 mark, Tyreek Hill. And on the Ravens side of it, defensive rookie of the year, I have Kyle Hamilton. Offensive rookie of the year, Tyler Linderbaum. Defensive player of the year, Justin Houston, what they call him, Yodel. Offensive player of the year, Mark Andrews, which could have easily been Ryan Stanley, and Lamar Jackson as the Ravens MVP so far at the midway point. And again, we got the Carolina Panthers coming up Sunday, so the live streams will be back Sunday. The watch party, I mean, you'll get the call-in show after the game, and you'll get your Ravens roundtable Monday. So we're back to the regularly scheduled program. Wife had a great birthday. Really excited about the rest of the season coming up. And you know, man, like, comment, subscribe, share. See y'all soon, man. Film coming up. Doing a study on Marcus Peters, so that'll be out soon. Peace.